For this episode, I pulled this CoCo 1 off my shelf. Let's take a look at it. Well, the first thing you'll notice is this thing is awfully dusty. I'm going to employ a method of cleaning using baby wipes. This is actually a trick that I learned from CoCo back at VCF East in New Jersey some years ago when I attended there. Baby wipes are very good at picking up dust and dirt, as you can see, off of pretty much anything, especially vintage computers. The moisture in the baby wipe really works to pick all of that up, get it clean. So as you can see, I'm really working it into the crack there, making sure that things are clean, picking up all the dust. Makes a big difference. I keep these around a lot at the office just for things like this, to clean computers and other things that have a lot of dust on them. So I'll wipe around the keyboard, get that clean, then we'll move over to the sides here shortly. I'll start working on cleaning the sides of this CoCo, using the baby wipe to really get into those corners and crevices, wiping that dust, taking advantage of the moisture on the baby wipe to pick all of that up. I'll turn it over on the other side and unplug these wires and do the same thing. I'll take a baby wipe, a fresh one, and I will really get down into those corners and those edges and crevices and wipe the dust out. Move to the back, try to get into some of those ports. Alright, I'll flip the CoCo over on its top here and look at the bottom. There are a couple of problem spots I see already. This area here, there's some kind of dust or dirt caked in, and this foot here has moved. Looks like it melted and changed position as it was stored. So anyway, I'll address that shortly. I'll continue wiping down the bottom here, getting it nice and clean, and then kind of start working on that foot here next. This foot has melted and shifted during storage. The adhesive probably just got too warm. And anyway, I'm trying to get that foot off. There we go. And as you can see, there's a little bit of residue there. I'll kind of wipe around that, get it clean. The intention is to apply some adhesive and put that foot back. I'm actually going to use something very handy in my shop, some Gorilla Glue. I'm going to apply a little bit here, just a dab, kind of spread it around a little bit. There we go. And I'll put the foot in place, kind of press it. It's going to slide around a little bit, but I'll position it so that it's pretty solid and press down and give it some time to dry. I want to turn our attention here to the bottom. Let's take a look at the labeling. This is a 26-3004 model CoCo 1 with the serial number of 040294. It was made at the Tandy factory in Fort Worth, Texas, so it is a USA-made CoCo 1, and it has this handwritten label 8709137-E. That is actually the motherboard revision. I'll get into that in just a little bit. Alright, while she's on her stomach, so to speak, you know what I'm going to do. It's time to take her apart. Alright, here's short screw 1. Short screw 2 is a little bit difficult to get out because of the caked up muck in there. I'll get back to that. Long screw 3, long screw 4, long screw 5, long screw 6, and long screw 7. I'll get back to short screw number 2 here. Kind of work it out there, and here it goes. Alright. Okay, so now all the screws are out, and we can take a look at it more closely on the inside. I'll lift the case up here and look underneath to see if there's anything of interest, such as a mark. Nope, nothing. It's all clear. No marks or anything. Alright, we'll put it aside. Let's take a look at the keyboard and the motherboard. I want to pay particular interest to this particular keyboard. This is an HJL keyboard. It was an add-on to the color computer, and the keys come apart. And I'm going to take each key apart here and clean it with a baby wipe. Notice how it has this little cross, just pops right off and pops right back on. Unlike the chiclet keyboard that came with the original color computer, the HJL keyboard was a true travel up, travel down keyboard. The keys were close together, the feel was great, it was really a nice upgrade for the color computer at the time. And the other interesting thing is that the HJL has the F1, F2, F3, and F4 keys at the bottom to the left and right of the spacebar, which is something that the original CoCo keyboard didn't have, of course. There's nothing quite like using a nice, clean keyboard. I'm going to keep the spacebar attached because it has some little clips and I don't want to remove it, so I'll just kind of clean it in place, put it back. I'll clean the rest of the keys off video here. Won't bore you with the details. We'll get down to the motherboard next. Along the left side of the keyboard, looks like there is an HJL product sticker which was put in place. Rochester, New York is where the company was from. Kind of a nice touch there. We can see that it's starting to peel off just a little bit from age. This yellow sticker was on top of the metal foil cover, and it looks like, I can't make out the words too well, but it looks like the date is February the 15th of 1983. There's a shop and a tech and a service number, so this CoCo must have seen some repairs at some point. There's the sticker on top of that metal can. That metal can is covering a lot of the chips that are on the CoCo, and I'm assuming it's there for some type of RF interference mechanism. But the good thing is that, unlike the CoCo one in episode 0, I can actually take this off. This will come apart, so I'll take it off and let's take a look inside. Let's take a look at the motherboard up close. Toward the bottom where I took the can off, we have the 8 RAM chips, and they all look like they have the original badging on them, so they're probably were in there since the beginning. There is a bodge wire for 64K RAM, 6821s with here. We have the SAM chip here, the 6809 microprocessor, the VDG chip, and here we have the ROM chips. Now this ROM chip is a 28 pin, not a 24 pin ROM like this one. So this is probably a hacked in 28 pin to 24 pin work job here to get extended color basic in. We have the RF modulator, which seems to be in good condition, but there is an issue we'll take a look at, and of course the op amp that I replaced with a Texas Instruments part. That would be a TL061CN. I just mentioned that there's an issue with the video in this CoCo. It goes in and out, kind of gets real staticky, and it feels like there's a cold solder joint here where this resistor is. I'm going to move it, reposition it. Looks like it kind of broke off there, just barely touching the inside conductor. I'm going to move it with these pliers, and I'm going to take a soldering iron and some solder and kind of retouch it up a little bit, make sure the contact is good, get the picture looking just perfect. This probably happens over time, given the age of these things and just being jostled around when you take the connector in and out of the RF can. So just kind of getting the solder to run and melt. Make a nice bridge there. Alright, looks a lot better. I know you can't see the screen, but it's not shaking and having static anymore when I move the cable right here in the RF box. I'll put it back in. Much better. Let's take a look at the revision code on this motherboard. It's 8709137-E, which indicates that this is an E revision CoCo 1 motherboard. There were D, E, and F. There may have been one even prior to D. But the D and E and F are the ones you see in the field for the most part. Now the CoCo I reviewed last month was an F motherboard. This is an E, so it's the one prior. These motherboards, the D and the E's, typically are upgradable to 64K, although I think one might be a little bit more difficult than the other. But I suspect that this is a 64K CoCo 1 and not a 32K CoCo 1. We'll verify shortly by booting Nitrous 9. On my Mac I have running the DriveWire 4 server with Nitrous 9 disk image mounted in. I'm going to type DOS on the CoCo. That will bring up Nitrous 9. Should be booting. And it comes up. So this tells me that this is indeed a 64K CoCo 1. Startup banner appears. And we should get the OS9 prompt shortly. There it is. So that is working fine. Now we'll run the joy test program. I'll clone it in and use Sound Studio on my Mac to play the audio into the CoCo. Joy test is a simple basic program that I use just to test the workings of the joystick ports. I'll go ahead and type run and I will move the right joystick. It looks like it's working fine. The extremes are working as does the button, so the right joystick is fine. Now I'll move over to the left joystick port. There it is. The extremes seem to be working fine, and the button works fine as well. So it looks like the joystick ports are working fine on this particular color computer. The final test, of course, is clodiming Centipede for the CoCo, making sure that the game works. It's a good test of the general joystick and graphics part. Yeah, pretty cool. Can move the joystick around, shoot some centipedes. Very neat. So I'm going to give this CoCo 1 a thumbs up. Now that I've verified this color computer works, it's time to put it back in its box. What you're looking at here are boxes of all of the CoCos in my collection that don't have original packaging. Each one of these will be reviewed on an episode of the CoCo Collector. So as you can see, there are a lot more episodes coming.